Welcome. Today's practice is going to be a little bit slower than usual. We're going to call this practice the slow dive. And the reason why I wanted to do this practice is because I really wanted to slow things down and really come inside and to just observe the differences between how we feel and how we think, and sort of focus on a little bit more on the idea of relationship between ourselves and our inner selves. So when we work on the body, whether it's massage or yoga or any kind of body work, we always have to go really slow and ask permission of the body in order to come inside. We might have an intention to allow either a body worker or ourselves to kind of dig deep and to unravel some of the tension and stress that we have in our bodies, but our body has a different agenda. And you would know that because if there was ever a time where you were trying to go deep and stretch or do something that might feel a little bit uncomfortable physically, you can feel the body retract. You can feel the body pull back and say, no, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. We have a tendency to hold our breath, we hold back, and when that happens, really, we're not really affecting anything. We're not able to release anything. So there's a relationship that has to take place here. The mind has to say, yes, I intend to do this. We have to go slow, allow the breath to slow down, and then really ask permission of the body to say, okay, can I come in? And as the body starts to develop trust, it will slowly let down. The breath will release. You'll come down, you'll be able to go in a little bit deeper, and all of the stuff that, the root of it will be allowed to release at a much deeper level. And when that happens, a really beautiful thing takes place. And many people don't get a chance to really observe it at that level. But what happens is that there's another level or different levels of energy that lies deep within. And those levels are related to mental thinking, emotional feeling, and trauma. And I really want you to, as we dive deep, to really be curious to notice some of those different levels. I mean, it's not unusual or unknown that yoga does ask us to become emotional once in a while, but I really want you to observe every single moment of it and every single step leading up to it, and just observe, the feeling of it, and try to be grateful for the release. You're in a safe place, so I'm asking you to do something that might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I want you to really slow things down and allow yourself to just be with yourself. I like to use an analogy that if we were to break into someone's house, we would probably go to jail for it because it's illegal. And so, it's no different if you think about your body as being sort of your temple or your home. You don't want to just be barging in and breaking in without asking and without, permission, because really it's a violation. And so, asking yourself to have this beautiful relationship with all of you, is going to be the beginning of a lifelong romance. And so, anyway, I hope that this is a really profound practice for you. This is one of my favorites, and a really, really deep hip opener, which we know that the hips hold a lot of memory and a lot of junk. So go slow, go at your own pace, and at any time, please feel free to take rest. It's not going to be an energetically strengthening practice, but it'll definitely be a really deep dive. So we're going to go really deep within the layers within yourself, and just be curious to see what comes up for you. So when you're ready, we will start in a child's pose. And I'd like you to take your knees really wide. I really love starting this way, just to kind of give your knees a little bit or your hips a little bit of an opening to start. So we're going to bring the toes together to touch, just slightly, and knees wide as your mat. And then just draw the tailbone back, take the fingers forward, and just start to lengthen through the spine. Okay, so you can allow your forehead to come to the floor and just keep walking your fingers forward. Take a deep breath, feel the elongation of the spine and the sides of the body. And every time you breathe in, feel yourself fill up. As you exhale, allow yourself to cleanse and just let go. You're starting to come in. And this is a good point to notice just how you're feeling at the start of your practice. Notice how your hips feel. Check in with your emotions. Check in with your mind. Do they feel still? Or do they feel a little bit on edge? Ask your breath to go there and see if you can soften and settle. Let's take a moment. This might be the first time today that you get a chance to just slow down and observe, to just be with your breath. Notice yourself coming down just a little bit more. And start to deepen your inhales and exhales. We're really going to use our 4-count breath today to really keep that parasympathetic nervous system active. The rest, the digest, the healing. Take your fingers a little further. Allow your arms to come down further, but keep your armpits lifted. A little bit more of a tractioning of the spine. Slow down your breath even more. And then slowly start to walk your hands back. Keep your knees wide here. And we're going to come into a wide-kneed cat-cow. Okay, so you can leave your toes untucked if you want to. Okay, we're going to walk the hands a little bit further. We want to really feel elongation of the spine. Take the hands under the shoulders and press to the insides of your wrists. So really feel pressure into the heels of your hands and the index finger. Now when you're ready, just start to drop the belly, lift the chin, tip it forward. Lift the gaze. Take a deep breath in and fill up, but feel the front of the body really start to elongate here. And then as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, pull the navel up towards the spine and the chin towards the chest, and it's a wide-kneed cat pose. Empty out, and then start to fill up and come back into your cow. Try to use this 4-count breath as you move between these two places. Notice where you feel this. Notice where it feels good. And really feel the difference between this and a normal cat-cow. There's a little bit more of a separation in the sacrum, a little bit more space. Last cat. As you inhale, come back to a neutral spine. Just keep your hands where they are. Bring your knees back underneath the hips. Tuck your toes under. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, press your heels down towards the floor and your hips towards the sky and come into a downward facing dog. Keep your knees bent here. You can start to pedal out and feel this really nice lengthening through the sides of the body. Allow the head to be heavy. Take a moment of stillness as you press your heels towards the floor and stretch the backs of the legs. And then start to ripple forward, and we'll just come into a plank pose. Now see if you can do this really slow. Come forward into your plank, stay there. Look forward, stay there. press your heels back even more. Press the floor away from you. Stay there. Good. Now when you're ready, we're just going to slowly drop the knees and then slowly drop the chin and the chest. And then stay there. Squeeze the elbows in towards the body. And then start to lengthen out. Untuck the toes and just lift your heart, coming into a baby cobra. Pull the hands towards the hips. Pull the shoulders back. Draw the head forward, the crown up. And then as you exhale, slowly lower down, tuck your toes under, and push yourself back into a child's pose. This time a normal child's pose with the knees just a little bit wider, but not too wide. Again, resting the head, taking a moment here to pause. Just notice how you feel just after that little bit of that first movement here. Take a couple more breaths. Like I said, we're going to be really slowing things down, like a really slow dive. Okay, so when you're ready, we'll come back into our tabletop. Tuck your toes back under. Press your hips back up, downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath into the nose. Exhale, side out the mouth. We're going to take the feet hip width apart. We're going to take the right leg up towards the sky into three-legged dog. Keep the hips squared here and just press up into those left toes. Come up to the ball of them and see if you can press the right foot up towards the sky. Can you get a little bit taller, like you're trying to do the splits here? And then slowly bring that right foot behind the left. So we're going to cross our legs. You can separate the toes a little bit more. You can start to press the heels down towards the floor a little bit more. And just notice how this feels. You're going to really feel this on the insides of your calves and the outsides of your hips. Continue to press the heels down. Notice where you feel this and notice the sensations. Notice the reaction to the body when you start to go a little bit deeper. Notice how the breath starts to change as you go a little bit deeper. See if you can keep it going. Try to keep the hips squared here. And then when you're ready, take that right leg back up towards the sky into three-legged dog. Now, what I want you to do is we're going to play around with a little bit of a variation here. We're going to bring that right hip down and see if you can bring those right toes so that they're pointing down towards the floor. See if you can even out your hips, making them really parallel. And notice how that feels. Keep pushing out to the outer edge of that left hip. And then lower that right hip, just even lower than that left hip. See what happens here. How does that feel? See if you can hold that there. And then inhale, open up, bring that right hip higher. Without bending the right knee, we're just going to press that right hip a little higher than the left. See if you can not lose the integrity of the shoulders. The shoulders stay nice and square. And then exhale, bring it back down. Slowly, slowly, slowly lower than that left hip. Notice how it feels in every single place here. Spiraling that right hip down towards the left. Inhale, open it back up. We're just going to open up. We're not going to bend the knee. We're just going to bring that right hip higher than the left. Keep pushing to the hands and then slowly square the hips out. Take that right leg even higher. And then as you exhale, squeeze your knee in towards your nose. And then place the right foot down between your hands. Take your left knee down towards the floor. And we'll just come into a low lunge. Okay? Walk your foot forward so that the ankle is right underneath the knee. All right, and then from here, we're just going to take the hands onto the knees, and we're going to start to push the knee away. Okay, so widen your base if you need to. Make sure you really feel supported in the left knee and the right foot. We're going to bring the shoulders over top of the hips and just start to, you can interlace the fingers if you like, and just start to press the knee away. Okay, so now what I want to do is we're going to take that same sort of cat-cow. And so what I want you to think about is tucking the tailbone under just a little bit. So it's a pelvic tilt. You're squeezing your pubic bone and your navel together, and you're tucking your tailbone under just a little. And what I want you to do is I want you to round the spine, bring your chin towards your chest, and really feel the engagement here of that left quad, the engagement of your core. And as you do this, notice the quality of your breath. Notice what you notice. Keep squeezing. Keep breathing. This is really, really good for the hips. It's like a little self-adjustment. Just take one more breath. Nice and full. Okay, now as you come forward, unravel, come forward and sink your hips down and take your hands up into a low crescent lunge. Bring your palms so that they face one another. Bring your biceps towards the ears, square out through the hips and look up towards the sky. Take a deep breath in, get taller, and as you exhale, sink lower. Notice where you feel this. Kind of like an active yin, a little bit of a yin and a yang. Now slowly bring your hands down towards the floor. If you need to have blocks here, you can always bring blocks into your practice. Okay, we're going to start to straighten out through both legs and come into a pyramid pose. So I want you to bring that left hip forward and the right hip will come back. And then just start to lower yourself over top of the right leg. So really find length here. You can keep pressing down to the back heel towards the floor, but it doesn't have to touch. But we're going to take another deep breath in, lengthen the spine, and as you exhale, draw the knee and the nose closer together. Find just a little bit of stillness here. Keep drawing back through that outer right hip and forward with that left hip flexor. Every inhale, find length. Every exhale, find space that you can move into. Find strength. Notice what comes up in the mind. Notice the emotions. Recognizing that the emotions can be anything. It can be laughter, it can be anger, it can be rage. Whatever the tension, was accompanied by when it happened is usually what will come out. Okay, we're going to take a twist here. So keep that left hand on the floor. Again, you can use blocks if you want to, but we're going to lift that right arm up towards the sky and just come into a beautiful twist. Keep drawing back through that left hip. So lift that left hip up, drop that right hip down, and really create this twist from the belly button. Again, find that ease in the breath. Notice any shaking here. Holding these poses just a little bit longer. An opportunity to really go deep and really observe. And then slowly bring that right hand back down. We're going to slowly come all the way into a straddle. And then just drop your head down towards the floor. You can come down onto elbows if you'd like. If you want to bring the crown of the head towards the floor, you could do that too. And you might just be up here, and that's okay. But just, again, go deep as you can. Notice how deep that is. And maybe today is different than a different day. Maybe you're tighter. Maybe you're more flexible. Just know that your body is going to be different day to day depending on what is going on. And let that be an indicator. Slowly come up halfway. And as you exhale, bend deeply into your left knee. Okay, we're just going to see if we can flatten out through that left heel if possible. We're going to point the right toes up to the sky, and we're going to find center of balance by bringing our arms out front. So we're hovering the sitting bones from the ground and feeling a really nice lengthening through the inner thigh. Now, if this is too much for you, then don't go as deep, but we're really just investigating, we're exploring, we're just seeing what's possible and playing with that edge. It should be a bit uncomfortable, sorry. Now, slowly start to sit down. Notice how deep you are just from that, okay? We're going to take a side bend, okay? We're going to take the right hand onto the left ankle, and we're just going to lean, okay? So we've been doing this one in the last, few practices. We've been practicing this beautiful side bend. So, maybe you're starting to get a little bit more on a deeper level. Okay, slowly let that right shoulder down. You can take the left hand behind the head, but keep drawing that left elbow up towards the sky. See if you can lean even more towards that right leg. Take that left the right toes, and if you can grab on, great. And you can just rest here. Again, taking those few breaths, asking permission, allowing the body to get used to this shape, to trust. They say it takes like 40 seconds for the body to really develop that, to really start to let go and to, break up the connective tissue and the fascia. Now slowly start to come up. All right, we're going to move into a half splits pose from here. So you're just going to take that left knee down, and you're just going to come on top of it, just like this. So moving right into this half splits. So again, we're going to draw back to the right hip. We're going to draw forward with the left hip. We're going to take the hands on either side of the right shin. We're going to inhale, draw the crown forward. Exhale to fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale. And exhale. And we'll just hold this here. Feel where you feel this in that right hamstring, the right quad, the right calf muscle. Good. One more breath. All right, now as you come forward, take your hands, framing the right foot, and then just step back into another plank pose. Good. All right, pressing back to the heels, feel the length in the entire body. This must feel so good to lengthen out. And then when you're ready, slowly drop the knees, drop the chin and the chest, and just pause here for a moment. Squeezing everything to the midline. And then let go and come lengthen out, coming into your cobra pose. Heart draws forward, shoulders down and back. Open up through the chest, smile your collarbones open. And then exhale, lower down. Pull yourself back, child's pose. Okay, so just where we started. Take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. Inhale to fill. Exhale to let go. Good. Slowly come back into your tabletop, tucking the toes under again, and then come back to your downward facing dog. Okay, and we'll do the other side. So just again, taking a moment to pause, just finding a little bit of stillness here. Okay, and when you're ready, we'll just take that left leg up towards the sky. Coming up onto the balls of the right toes, taking those left toes up towards the sky, finding splits here. And then slowly come down with that left foot, place it behind the right, and we'll find the cross-legged down dog on this side. So again, we're going to press the heels down, and you'll feel this a little bit differently than the other side. So just working the heels down towards the floor, working into some places that may not get a lot of stretch. If you want to separate your feet a little bit more, that's good too. We're going to play around again with that variation of that three-legged dog, higher and lower of the hip, and just see how that feels on this side. So plant that right foot down, take the left leg up, and then square out. So bring that left hip down, the left toes towards the floor. Okay, and then we're just going to start to spiral that left hip towards the right, bringing that left hip down, 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 a little bit lower. Notice how it feels. And then inhale, spiral it open. Keep that left leg straight. We're just going to bring that left hip a little higher than the right. Good. And then again, bring it down. Do this one as you exhale. As you inhale, open it up. See if you can move to the length of your breath. And as you exhale, bring it down, but square out the hips this time. Come a little bit higher on the balls of the right foot. Bring the left knee towards the nose. Hike it up. And with grace, step it forward. Bring the right knee down. Good. We'll find that Anjaneyasana asana with that cat-cow again. So we're just going to start to stack the hips, the shoulders over the hips. Widen your stance. Find your foundation. Square out the shoulders. Square out the hips. And then you can just bring your hands, you can interlace them, lengthening through the arms. We want to roll the shoulders forward, and we're going to tuck the tailbone under, and we're going to bring the navel towards the pubic bone, squeezing it together. Tuck the chin towards the chest, and find that really beautiful cat pose. So it's like we're really lengthening through the tailbone in the back, but we're squeezing the core, and that right quad should really feel fired up. Keep breathing here, really adjusting through the hips here, stabilizing through the hips here, feeling heat as you really work into this stability. Good. Slowly come back to your regular lunge. Okay, and then as you sink forward, the arms will come overhead. So getting a little bit taller, squaring out the hips, squaring out the shoulders, and really lengthening through the arms. Bring the biceps closer to the ears. Find length in the sides of the body, sink a little lower. Observe. Slowly bring your hands, frame that left foot, lengthen through both hamstrings, and pull your legs straight. That right hip will come forward. The right hip flexor draws forward. The left outer hip draws back. Feel that. Take an inhale to lengthen. As you exhale, bring the knee and the nose closer together while you start to press that right heel closer to the mat, but it doesn't have to touch. Find your breath if you've lost it. Notice the body starting to let go. Notice permission. Notice how deep you can get when you have permission. We're going to take another twist on this side. Okay, so if you needed your blocks before, you can use them again, or just leave that right hand where it is. Lift the left hand up towards the sky. Keep pulling that right hip up and the left hip down. So you really feel a nice twist here from the middle of your midsection, the belly button area. The breath will be really difficult, but keep it moving. Keep yourself calm. Notice your shaking. Notice your heartbeat. Now we're going to start to come back down, and we're going to find that wide-legged straddle again. So your toes turn in, your heels point out, your hips are high, your head is low. Okay, so whatever you did on the other side, if you feel like you can come down a little further this time, that's good. Just allow the outer edges of your feet to really root down into the mat, really anchor you. Feel a nice stretch in the peroneus muscles, which are on the outside of the calves. And then from here, we're going to come up halfway. We're going to bend deeply into that right knee this time. And just like we did on the other side, we're going to lean back. So when you lean back, that right heel will flatten. And that might feel really unstable for you. But to keep the balance, right, we're going to hover the sitting bones. The left toes point up. We reach the hands forward. And it's sort of like a tug of war or a tractioning of the spine. And we just stay here for a moment. Again, practicing that art of letting go. And then slowly allowing the sitting bones to ground down. Now, I know I'm not facing you, but you'll get a really nice angle from what the back is supposed to look like compared to the front from before. Okay, so I'm just going to take my left hand. I'm going to grab onto my right ankle just like we did before. And I'm just going to start to lean to the left. So my left shoulder comes closer towards the left leg. And again, you can stay here, or you can bring your right arm behind your head for a deeper stretch through the shoulders. Bring that right elbow up towards the sky. Keep leaning. And then maybe you can grab onto your foot. We're just going to stay here for a few breaths. Again, as we observe the body, the mind, the emotions. Keep drawing that right knee away from you and keep pulling towards your left toes with your right hand. Keep drawing that left shoulder towards the front of your body. So you're twisting a little bit. Try to let go. Try to find that place where you're resisting, where you're pushing back, and send your breath there. Make it soft. Okay, we're slowly going to come up. We're moving into that half splits pose. So you're just going to bring the right knee down to the ground. Keep your right toes tucked under and just lift yourself up. And then stack your hips over top of the right knee. And we're going to pull the left hip back and the right hip forward. Take a deep breath in. Fill up. Exhale, fold. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. Holding this here, you can draw the hands out a little bit further. Coming onto your fingertips. Feel that left thigh, that left hamstring, really feeling the love here. Okay, and then when you're ready, coming forward, take the hands, frame the foot, step back, downward facing dog. Good, pedal it out and just feel these 2 sides of the body. Pressing the heels down to the floor, find that stillness one more time. And then inhale, ripple forward. Come all the way down to the ground. Take your hands forward, coming into a Sphinx pose. And with your elbows pressing into the floor, take an inhale and lift your heart. And as you exhale, draw the elbows towards the hips. Really feeling like you're coming out of your shell here. If you want to, you can take your right leg up and your left leg, touch the toes together. You can bring the knees even wider. Okay, and then if you want more, you can press the floor away, come into a beautiful back bend. And slowly come all the way back down. Keep your arms where they are. Walk your knees towards your elbows, and we'll just come into a puppy pose. Stretch your arms forward. Keep your armpits off the floor. If you want, you can keep your chin on the floor, or you can bring your forehead on the floor. Bringing your chin down is going to give you a deeper stretch. You want to bring the hips over top of the knees and send your hip sitting bones to the sky. Walk your hands even further. Maybe lift your forearms off of the ground. And then slowly walk your hands back and just find a regular child's pose. Okay, so walk your hands back. We're going to start off with coming into downward facing dog. And we're going to slowly work our way back down to some seated postures here. Okay, so take your right leg back up towards the sky. This time you're going to bend the knee. We're going to take the knee to the nose, to the tricep, and all the way back around. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So in, out, and around. So just opening up through the hip here. Just taking some really big wide circles. And then we're going to change direction, bringing it up to the tricep, to the nose, and back up again. Just really feeling the opening through that hip. We're only going to just do 3 here. Good. Now take that right leg all the way back up to the sky and bring it all the way through between your hands. Now start to walk yourself back to the middle. So you're coming back into that straddle again, and walk your feet out as wide as you can. So like you're trying to do middle splits. And we're going to hold this here. Hold this and see how this feels. This feels vulnerable. Now we did this in last class, but we're going to do it again. We're going to come back up onto our hands. We're going to walk our hands back, and we're going to set our bum down. Whew, wow, for a slow practice, that's sweaty. Okay, so starting here, just coming into our straddle. And this is where we're going to use our balls. So go ahead and grab your tennis balls. And we're just going to place them underneath our hamstrings. So if you can lift up your legs, you will be able to feel a spot. And if you want to, you can even bring it closer up towards the sitting bones as high as you can. So sort of where like your sitting bone meets the femur bone. And then you can bend your knees a little bit and allow that pressure to really dig into the backs of your hamstrings. So we're really just, we're on a band that's related to the kidney meridian. It runs sort of the inside of your legs. We have 2 actually, one that's sort of close to the sitting bone and one that's closer to the middle. And this one is closer to the middle, so it's more like the inner thigh. Okay, and we're just going to sit on here. So kidney is the energy of, it's the deepest essence of our energies, and it really has a lot to do with going with the flow. So if you think about the pressure of the blood that moves through kidney, it goes through it at the fastest pace of any other organ. So it really has a lot to do with the pressures in your life. Okay, so if you want to, you can move around. You can just move your legs back and forth. Take a little bit of movement here if that feels okay. But you really want to just get into that band there. And kidney also has a job of, filtering toxins out of your body, out of your blood, right? And so you can ask yourself, if you've got a lot of tension in this part of your body, what is it in your life that is creating a lot of pressure to the point where it's difficult for you to filter toxicity out of your life, whether it's an environment or a person, or maybe it's your job, or maybe it's the food that you're taking in. Okay, slowly take the balls and move them down that line. Okay, so that line, again, the inside, you can find the landmark because on either side of your knee, behind your knee, there's a landmark that ends, that each band ends on. So this one is going to end here. So it's kind of going to go this way on the inside. So again, we're just going to bring it down a little bit. And every time you move this ball down, you should feel a different sensation. So it'll be either more sensation or less sensational, depending on where your tension is. But we just want to work it through. And what we're doing is we're just making space. Okay, so just taking a little bit of movement here as we massage these bands. So when I massage people, this is how I work. This is the type of work that I do. Is I work on these bands to remove tension. It's quite a deep tissue massage, but it's quite wonderful. Okay, and then we'll come down a little bit further. I love that I can teach people how to do this to themselves. Okay, so we're pressing the heels down into the floor. We're just giving ourselves a little bit of a massage. Now I can really feel it in this part here. Feel free to stay on any of these areas a little bit longer if you'd like to. Or if you feel nothing at all, then keep going, because really the job here, the task, is to find tension and remove it. Okay, so we're just going to press one and then the other. And then if you want to, you can even stop and just feel the pressure of both as you lean forward. And that feels pretty sensational too. And this will give you an opportunity to really just let go and breathe. Breathe into the sensation. Notice any tingling or new energy pathways. And then slowly come back up, move down a little bit further. So now we're like a little bit closer to the knee. And again, you can just lean forward. And if you want to, you can even just roll your feet back and forth, and that will give it a massage as well. All right. Okay, so we're going to keep using the balls a little bit in a bit. So we'll just put them at the top of the mat, and we'll take a couple more stretches here. Okay, so we're just going to take that right leg behind, and we're just going to bend it. We're going to come into a half frog. Okay, so if you can, flatten out the inside of your foot towards the floor, then that's great. I want you to really think about grounding through both sitting bones the best that you can. If you have to flatten out that top foot, you can do that too. So whatever feels right. So this is a feeling exercise. Take a deep breath in, square your shoulders forward, and exhale, and just fold. Observe your body. Taking some deeper yin postures a little bit lower to the ground. So slow dive, meaning we go deep and we go low. Slow and low. Every time you find space, move into it. That means going a little bit deeper, going a little bit lower. Allow gravity to be your friend here. Close your eyes, soften your gaze. Okay, then slowly come back up. We're going to take that right foot and we're going to turn to the back of the mat, and we're going to place that right foot to the inside of the left thigh, taking Janu Shavasana. So we're working that right knee down to the floor. You can always place a block or a pillow underneath your leg in order to give you some support. Okay, and then we're just going to square ourselves towards that left leg. We're going to take our our hands forward onto the mat. We're going to take a deep inhale here, draw the heart forward, and as you exhale, fold down. Okay, and then once you're here, in order to keep your shoulders level and even, we're just going to take the right hand onto the left shin, and you're going to come onto left fingertips, so it's like a stand for you. We're going to pull that left shoulder forward and the right shoulder back, and then exhale, fold over top of your leg. Notice here if you're bouncing, if you're wiggling, and see if you can just be still. What is your mind doing? What do you need to let go of? Do you have permission to go deeper here? One more breath. Filling up, making lots of space in the low back for the kidneys. And then slowly rise. We're just going to turn around and face the front of the mat. We're going to bring the right leg with us, and we're just going to move right into a pigeon pose. Now, before we do that, we're actually going to start with a 90-90 so that we can use the balls. So I want to get into the outside of the leg here with the balls as well. So we're going to bring the legs like into a pinwheel, and then we're going to take the ball and we're going to bring it right underneath, so the peroneus muscle, which I pointed out to you earlier on the side of the leg. So just bring that ball down underneath, and you're going to feel it. It's going to feel pretty sensational. And everybody is going to be a little bit different as far as the intensity and tightness. What I want you to do is to really think about leaning forward. Now again, you can take a pillow or any kind of props to help hold you up. I want you to try to relax as much as you can into this sensation of the pressure of this ball going into your peroneus muscle. Okay, so you can come forward over top of your right knee and just allow yourself to put pressure onto that leg in order to feel more of a breakdown of that fascia. And we're going to start from the low ankle and we're going to move up. So all of this tension, all of this tightness, this is all just your stories. And again, being curious about what comes up as these stories release. You know, sometimes it'll be a memory or, again, an emotion that's related. Take the ball, come up a little bit higher and find another spot a little bit higher on your outer shin. What does your mind tell you? And sometimes the body, you know, is really resistant to reliving it again. And we don't want to relive it again. We don't want to create that experience. But we do need to bring it to the surface and be in it. But we can do it in a way that we're more like a witness and not like we're reliving it, but being a witness and standing back and observing the situation. Take that ball a little bit higher one more time. And when we can stand back and be a witness, we can see things from a different perspective, as if we are someone else, as if we're like our friend looking at our situation and giving us advice. We can give ourselves our own advice. Do we need to remove ourselves? Do we need to change our attitude towards it? Often these tension places are not new. It's not from yesterday or last week. This is stuff that we've been, doing for a long time. It's a pattern. And we can choose and say, I don't want to do that anymore. I need to change. It's holding me back, physically, mentally, and emotionally. All right, come on up. Remove the ball. And we're going to change legs. So we're going to even it out, but we're going to change legs here. We're going to take ourselves into pigeon. Okay, and from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to keep that right knee really, really bent, because what we're going to do is we're going to take this ball onto the top of the quad. So this time we're not on top and we're not inside. We're kind of on the outside. So again, the landmark is going to be the outside of the knee, and we're just going to place the block there. And you're going to place your knee on top of it. Okay, now from here you can stay on your hands. You're going to start to really feel this sensation. Okay, and depending on how much you do feel, you can decide to go deeper or not. Okay, so from here we're just going to start there and eventually roll that ball all the way up. Okay, if you want to, you can take movement and bend the knee and bring it down, but that might be too much or not. So you play around with that and then breathe into it. If you want to come down onto your forearms, you can do that as well. And then that way you're getting a little bit of a pigeon pose as well. So a nice hip opener, and you're working that left quad as well. Okay, so again, you can bend it and bring it down, and then bring yourself. You can either reach down and bring the ball up higher, or you can roll yourself back onto it. Okay, so at each level, again, playing around with the idea of bending and straightening. Don't allow this to steal your breath. So working along this band, this is the stomach. So it's the same band that we were just working on the other leg, only the lower part of the leg. We will even everything out. But this is your earth element. And as we work through all of these hips and all of this, emotional stuff, that is the water element, and we need the earth element to contain the water, right? So you can think about earth contains the lakes and the water. Well, our earth, our ground, our support is what holds and contains our emotions. It allows us to move while we feel safe. Go ahead and move that ball up a little higher. Right? So if our ground isn't safe, then movement isn't going to be possible. So we really need to make sure that our foundation and our support system is safe. So we work both of these energies. Okay, move it a little bit higher. And stomach has a job to do too. It has to digest. You can ask yourself, what is it in your life that is really hard to digest? So often we reach for things, we put it in our mouth, without looking at the ingredients, without looking at the expiration date. We make ourselves sick. But we do that with other things too. We do that with people. We do that with, our environment. We just allow ourselves to digest the things that we bring into our life without looking at it and without really paying attention to it. And then we wonder why we get that stomach, that gut feeling or that uneasiness. Okay, one more time as we come right to this hip flexor. This one's going to feel really juicy. And we don't just digest through our eyes and through our mouth. We digest through our eyes and our ears and our skin. So there's so many ways that we can digest and bring things in without paying attention. All right. Now take that right leg and bring it out into a half frog like we did in last class. And just take a moment to really sink into this ball, into this hip flexor. Now this might be a real game changer for you if you have really tight hips. Keep pressing that right knee away from you and allow yourself to sink deeper into that left hip, into the ball. You can drop your head and enjoy this. You can feel the sensations, the tingling into the left foot. And then slowly start to bring that right knee back in. You can come all the way back up. And then just sit back down into that straddle again. Take a moment just to observe the two sides. All right. Okay, so now we're just going to bend the right knee. We'll do the other side. So take your ball, put it back. You can flatten out through that right foot if you can. Okay, and we're going to come to the other side. So take that left foot and bring it behind you. Okay, so notice any tightness or stickiness. If you can flatten out that left foot, great. If you can, bring that left sitting bone down, try to do that as well. Square everything out. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, fold. Do you notice anything different from this side compared to the other side? I know for me, I have this piece that just wants to lock up, that just doesn't want to let go. And you got to ask yourself why. What is this stuckness that's on one side of my body? What kind of patterns are creating this tension on one side? Coming a little bit deeper each time, letting go a little bit more each time. Sending your breath to any place that feels really, really resistant. Notice if you're clenching your jaw, bringing your shoulders wrapped around your ears, let go somewhere. And then slowly come up. We'll find Janushirasana again. So this time bringing the right leg to the top of the mat and the left foot to the inside. And it just feels so good to change these shapes after being into one so long, taking a different counter shape. Okay, so take a deep breath in. Exhale, fold. And again, we'll take that same variation. So the left hand comes onto the right knee, and right fingertips will ground you. Keep your shoulders even and fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale. Every time you breathe in, feel the expansion of the low back. Again, making room for the kidney here. And then slowly come up. Take one of your tennis balls. We're going to move back into 90-90 on the other side. So just turn yourself to the back of the mat. Take your left shin, make it parallel to the top or to the back of the mat, and then we're just like a pinwheel. Okay, we want to start to turn towards the front, and we'll just place that ball underneath the shin, the peroneus. Again, it's going to be like the outer part, right, from the ankle bone to the top of the knee. So you'll feel that. There's a little bit of a ridge, so you'll feel like you'll actually feel that band, and you'll know that you're on it. Okay, so place it there. Feel a place that feels not painful, but more like almost like it hurts so good. Okay, and then slowly lower down. So with these roll and release exercises, it's really hard to tell somebody where to put the ball because everybody has tension in different parts, and so you really have to go deep in order to know where to work in your own body. So it becomes an awareness and a relationship where you really get to know yourself. And when you get to know yourself on that level, you really can heal your own self on that level as well. I mean, doctors and medicine is good as a secondary, but if you can, observe some of these things and take some preventative measures, you really can lessen a lot of the troubles that you have. And take your health and your healing into your own hands. Go ahead, bring that ball a little higher. We're working our way up. And as you do that, you might find it get a little bit more or less intense. If there's a spot that feels really, really good, just feel free to stay there. Allow me to just be your guide. And that's it. The facilitator. You are the healer. Okay, come up one more time, a little bit higher, a little closer to the outside of the knee. And I really love that because, when we go to the doctor, we often let them decide what's wrong with us. They get to decide what we need. And we have to trust that. But what if you could intuitively know what it is that you need? Because you just have that good of a relationship with yourself. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, so we're going to move back into that pigeon pose. We're going to do the other quad this time. Okay, so we're going to tuck that left knee or that left foot in a little bit more. We're going to come on top of it. And then just placing that ball on the outer part, not the middle, but a little bit to the outer edge. You can keep those right toes tucked. Bring that left knee a little bit wider maybe. So, making it a really sensational feeling on the left hip as well. And if you want to come down onto your forearms, you can do that too. So you can stay here in stillness, or you can start to bend and straighten. I don't feel it as much on this side. I must have more tension on the left side, so you could observe that in your own body as well. And again, bringing awareness to that metaphor of what is it in your life that maybe is difficult to digest, especially if you're really feeling this in this band. Okay, come a little higher. Stomach has an emotion of compassion. So earth needs to be supportive. It needs to be supportive. It's not a want. People who are really heavy in the earth energy, their need is to take care of others. And when they feel like they can't take care of others, come a little bit higher. It really becomes difficult for them. They might feel unappreciated or unneeded. And that's an out of balance emotion. So again, knowing that about yourself. Come up a little higher. If you're the kind of person who is super nurturing, maybe you have a job that requires taking care of others. Just feeling it all the way up to the hip flexor. Keep working it all the way up. And again, always looking for a place that feels really, really good, that really needs it. This band goes right up into the stomach. So go ahead a little bit higher. And so often when these bands are tight on the front here, anything that it touches along the way is going to be affected. So sometimes we might have constipation or stomach problems. Okay, and then one more time, right into that hip flexor, and we're just going to hold it there. Now you can stay there If you want, you can untuck the toes, and then we're going to take that left knee wider, so into half frog. So you're going to press that left knee away from you and allow yourself to sink into that hip flexor. And that hip flexor is also connected to your tensor fascia lata, which is a band that gets really, really tight in athletes and runners. But boy, it feels so good to stretch it. If you want to drop your head and just relax here for a moment. Relax the jaw, relax the forehead. Allow yourself to let go and ask permission here. One more breath. And then slowly start to come up. All right. Take that ball, set it aside. Take your left foot, I'm going to sit towards you, so parallel to you. And then take your right foot over top of your left knee on the inside. And we're trying to stack knees over knees, okay? Coming into a double pigeon. And this will be really nice for the outer hips here. And again, this is going to be one of those poses that, it's going to be hard to let go. And we're going to have to really ask for a lot of permission here. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. We really need to start giving ourselves more energy. You know, we think that we're giving ourselves time, but it's not time that we need. It's energy. Just like other people, when they ask you, I just need more time. I just want more of your time. And it's like, what they're trying to say is, I want more of your energy. And the thing is that we don't stick around long enough to really get to know ourselves and even other people, because, you know, we might give them our time, but while we're doing that, we're thinking about something else, or we're on our phones, or, you know, we're doing something else. And so we're not giving 100% of our energy to the situation or to the person. And we do the same thing. You know, we'll come into yoga and we'll be in a pose, but and rather than giving ourselves 100% of our own energy, you know, we're thinking about other things, or we're, you know, stealing it by thinking of something negative. We let our mind wander. We push our emotions away. But we need to spend more quality time with ourselves. The same type of relationship as we would want to create with someone that we love. Take a moment here to have gratitude for what this is doing, for what you're letting go of, and the freedom. Let's take one more breath here, and then see if you can lean forward. Go a little bit deeper. Close your eyes, soften your gaze, go inside. And the deeper you go, the more that will come up. One more big breath. Exhale, soften. Now slowly sit up, and we will do the other side. Okay, if you want to take your legs in front of you and just give them a little pummel, shake it out, release any stagnation. Okay, and then other side. Okay, so this time, right leg at the bottom, and left leg on top. Okay, Now, one side might be tighter, as you can see I am, and you might feel like your sitting bones are not even rooted properly. If you need to, you can always place props or a blanket like underneath the knee that's not touching. That will give it a little bit more support, because especially if you have sensitive knees, you don't want to be putting more pressure on them. So I know for me, like, it doesn't hurt at all. I just feel like I'm just really stiff. But if you have any kind of sensitivity, then please use props. Okay, so I know that even though I might not be completely grounded here, that's the first place I want to work. So I want to think about allowing my breath to get a little smoother and longer and even, to create safety and trust with my earth. The earth, once I have that foundation, then I can come down and I can allow it to contain me. I can feel it coming down already. Observing your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your stories. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Fold a little bit deeper. Let go a little bit more. Come inside. Dive deep. Just like a body of water, you are that body of water. The surface looks one way, but down deep, there's so much more beauty, so much more life, so much more information. All right. Slowly come back up. Take your time. Sometimes we go in slow and then we come out fast. The body doesn't want that either. We really need to keep everything really mindful, really slow. Slowly start to come onto your back. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Find every vertebrae on your way down. Take your arms out to a T and just allow your knees to windshield from side to side and release anything else that's in the hips here. Take your knees all the way to the left. Allow them to just fall. Press your right knee down further towards the floor. Feel a nice stretch into your hip. You can even take your left hand and push your hip away, giving yourself a bit of an adjustment here. And then take your right knee over top of your left and your left hand onto your right knee. Reach your right hand to the right and take a nice side twist here. And see it to it that you actually try to take a side, like a twist, at least once a day. They say the spine is like a sponge, and if you leave it on the counter overnight, it will become hard and brittle. And so when we take these twists, it's like taking a warm shower and moistening, lubricating your spine. Slowly come back to center. Again, windshield wipering your legs and then bringing them all the way to the right. And again, you can take that adjustment by pressing that left hip away from the left shoulder. You can do that with either hand. And you're pulling that left knee away from the hip. Okay, and then take that left knee over top of the right, coming into a full supine twist. You can rest your right hand on top of the left leg to hold it in place, really feeling a nice stretch in the outer hip there. And then slowly come to center. Take your legs long on the mat to either corner of the mat. Arms remain wide. And just allow yourself to rest. Take rest here. You can stay here as long as you like. Notice how you feel now compared to the beginning of your practice. Reflect on your entire practice. Take one thing that you learned about yourself and let that be carried with you into your day, your week, your month. Maybe one thing that you can adjust or shift or change to create more balance, more harmony. One piece of advice that you can give yourself that perhaps you would give to someone you love might be to be more mindful or go deep more often or be more patient, maybe loving with yourself. Maybe it's to reduce negative self-talk or negative thinking. Maybe it's just simply to have more gratitude for what you have. Now we'll just slowly come all the way up. Take your knees up and to the side and come into a seat. We'll just close off our practice together. Find your sitting bones. Take a deep breath in through the nose, sigh out the mouth. Come down. Take your thumbs to your third eye. Take your thumbs to your heart. May the light in me bow to the light in you. I leave you with life. I leave you with love. Namaste.